So, really good question. Are these four very specific, or are they really, really general? And I would say that these are very general attributes. And for example, great example, I want to change my job because I want more adventure, then I'd put that under variety. So you're looking for more variety rather than certainty. You're looking for change rather than not change. And then love and significance, sometimes they work against each other. Those in a relationship, you know, if you try to be too significant, then your partner sees you as being selfish, and all that sort of works against the love type thing. So these two can be on a matrix like that. Certainty, variety on one side, and you've got love and significance on the other. They are very generic, not very specific, so that's how I define them. And so being generic, they can capture a lot of little variations in between. Okay, so it's just a very simple. I just want to start your thought patterns about, okay, if you're going to change, are you changing because you want one area of these to be more or less? Do you? Okay, or you don't want to change because you want to have more of one that you're not currently getting. Okay, so think about why you're changing, why you don't want to change. The other part is the purpose. I'm willing to take massive action in order to. I'm going to talk about massive action tonight, and I'll give you a real life example of massive action, and that's associated with a project that I'm doing that is interviewing 1,000 suppliers, face-to-face interviews. Okay, up to 800 now. How does that sound when I say 1,000 interviews? Put your hand up if you'd like to do 1,000 interviews. Okay, that's massive action, and I can tell you a little bit about how that has actually attracted opportunities to me by actually taking the massive action. And I suggest, think about, if you were to take massive action, what would you do? What would you do? So we're going to talk about that tonight. The other parts we can leave to another time. E and F are to do about internal things that you can do to prepare your mind, and it all gets back to conditioning and developing habits. Like when you get up in the morning, at least thinking, well, I'm happy today because of the sun shining, I've got 2 arms and 2 legs, I still got a job. Just think of a reason why you can be happy. Even doing that every day is some positive conditioning. Something as simple as that. You don't need to do an MBA to actually develop that habit. All right. Then there's internal leverage, how you can think about. I remember the last time I felt passionate. Go back to your memory. Put your hand up. In the past, have you ever felt passionate about something? Was it a time when someone proposed to you? Was it a time when you won a tennis game? Put your hand up if there was. You just, wow, this is the best day of my life. Put your hand up if you have had one of those moments. Yes? Have you had that moment yet? Still thinking. Have you had a best day of your life?
You should, too much.
Oh, wow, you're very lucky. Yeah. All right, we all have that. So what I'm saying here with F is, and I would sit down with people to get you to go back to that and think more, especially those times when you are about to face a big challenge where you have to bend time. That is, you've got an enormous deadline and you just got to focus. You've got to have your thoughts, your emotions, and your physical all aligned so you can bend time and meet that deadline. I can help train you or condition you where you can actually bring that into your memory, because you should be remembering those experiences, because often they don't happen regular enough. So remember them, okay? And so there's ways of training you to condition your mind to remember them, okay? Do you want to try that now, quickly? Yeah. Okay, what I need you to do, okay, it might work for some of you, but think about it, okay? Here's how you do it, okay? Close your eyes. If you don't want to participate, it's okay, it's all voluntary tonight, okay? Close your eyes. I want you to think back to that time when you actually had that event occur where you just felt, wow, everything just aligned and everything happened, okay? And I want you to recreate that in your mind and think about it. How are you feeling? What was that feeling like? What did you do at that time? Did you yell out at that time? Did you make an action at that time? Okay, I want you to try and visualize every part of that. And then try and make a movement, a physical movement that actually can bring that back at a click of a finger. It may be just a fist pump, it may be a stamping of feet, it may be just, you know, on the chest at that time. At that time you get to that peak flow process where you're actually thinking about it. Like for me, it's winning tennis matches, because I'm a tennis coach and I played in a lot of tournaments, and just the joy of winning a tennis match and just go, yes, all right. And you go through that process of that thing happen where you just won that point, and you just go and you make it a sign in yourself. And so in the future, when you're facing anxiety, you can bring it back by actually conditioning your mind to bring it back. Okay, so that's very, very quickly, all right? Fast forward something that takes much longer to explain and take you through. All right, so that's what we mean by the peak flow process. The other two are more external, and we're going to talk more about external tonight, and that will give you your whole identity card, and you fold up, put in your wallet. Remember, the theme is this is something for your future. Your money in your wallet is what you've done in the past. And your other identity card, that's because you have to carry it, because the police in Hong Kong, by law, if they check you and you haven't got it, then you're in trouble. All right. By the way, my brother's a policeman in Australia, so if any of you would like a free accommodation when you go to Australia, I can contact him and he can look after you. Okay, sorry. All right, so let's get to the practical elements of tonight, because so far what I've done is given you in half an hour what I spent an hour and a half earlier this year. Tonight I want to talk about identity, and I've just introduced that to you. We're going to talk about communication and your psychology. You see, here's the big challenge about taking action. Here's the big challenge. Here's what happens. You know what I mean by identity now. Your identity is, in essence, who you are in terms of the economic value you can give to someone else. Okay? Who you are in terms of economic value you can give to someone else. So for example, I meet someone, I'm a motivator or a trainer, so people know that if they need a trainer or motivator, oh, call Neil. Okay? So immediately, rather than, if I say, oh, I'm an associate professor, well, then someone says, oh, I need an associate professor. No one ever says that, all right? But people do ask, oh, do you know of any motivator or a trainer that we can get, or a coach? Oh yeah, get Neil for that, all right? Because he's identified himself as someone that can answer that question. So think about that in your situation, okay? All right, so Aurora, you know, what would be a question for you, and someone would say, oh yeah, Aurora, here's the man for that. You see? Oh, I need someone of export knowledge in Latin America or something like that. Oh, Aurora, see him about that. He's the expert on that. You see? So your identity is associated with what would come to their mind in answering the question, who do we need to solve this challenge? Aurora, we need him. Okay? Who do we need to solve this challenge? David, we need him. You see? That's what I mean by identity. That is practical, right? That's practical. Okay? So that's what I mean. Now, the next thing you need to learn is how to communicate. That is a perfect pitch. You all know venture capitalists, Silicon Valley, everywhere, venture capitalists everywhere. You need to be able to pitch your business model in, they talk about an elevator pitch. You've got 60 seconds to say who you are, what you're doing, what value can the venture capitalists investing with you provide, so you can actually give returns to them. Okay? Are you the next Facebook? What is it about you that's creating that value for venture capital? That's what we mean by perfect pitch. We don't all get to have that chance to be the Facebook creator, but there's a Facebook in every one of us. Okay? That is in all of you somewhere. You just need to know how to communicate it. You need to know how to communicate it to others. Let's move on quickly, because And lastly, I'm going to talk about the environment, because this is what actually moves you along or holds you back. And here's what happens. In a nutshell, and this will finish tonight, we go around with our identities, we're communicating with people all the time, we are socialising with people all the time, and we just go around. My identity, I'm communicating, I'm socialising. I've got my identity, I'm communicating, socialising. I've got my identity plus MBA, I'm communicating, I'm socialising. I've got my identity, PhD now, okay, I'm communicating, I'm socialising. And we just go through life like that. But the problem is that we rarely get extra opportunities. How do we get out of this circle so we can create opportunities from that? That's what I want to talk about. Some practical steps you can take home tonight, all right? So enough talk for me. Let me just go on to the first one. Identity, I've already introduced that to you, and you've got your identity card, which actually expands it even more. So if you want more information on that, you can actually talk to me, share with me one-on-one if you're interested, okay? And we talked about career transitions, the secret of fast result. Massive action circle. Plan, we all know how to plan, action, results, then we review. And then we change our plans, reaction, results, review. And we keep going through that line in the MBA, course by course by course by course by course, right? And sort of time is against us to do anything massive. But I encourage you, what is it that you could do massive in your life that actually people will go, oh, wow, wow. Oh, that's different. Can you think of something? Like my 1,000 interviews. So, very quickly, I'm doing 1,000 interviews. You don't need to do that many interviews to publish an academic paper. I've been publishing academic papers for 20 years. I got top publications. Have any of you read my publications? No, but I wouldn't want you to read them anyway. All right, it'll drive you, you go to sleep, okay? And I said, enough is enough. I don't want to do 5 more top-tier publications over the next 5 or 10 years and have no one read them anyway, or have no significance in the commercial land. So I said, well, I'm going to take massive action. Massive meaning I'm doing something that is out of the norm, that is out of the range of expectations of my peers in academia and in industry. And so now I've got speaking engagements, and I'm speaking to industry, not to academics. People are interested in this 1,000 study. And so I've created opportunity. How do I do that? By taking massive action, not just action. Okay? So think about that. Here's the question for you. What is it that you could do in your life in a massive way that could actually just change the balance, just change the chemistry of things around you? What is it that you could do in a massive way? So for me, it's doing 5 times as many interviews as what I normally would do on a project. Okay? Now, some of you will say, oh yeah, I invest so many thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands in an MBA. That's my massive action. Put your hand up if you feel that. Okay. Yes and no. Yes, the Hong Kong New MBA is worth investing in. Yes. Okay, all right. But no, but that is not enough to differentiate yourself. That is no longer enough to say, oh, I'm different from everyone else. Because everyone else got MBA. Okay? So when we talk about massive action, use something even bigger than that. Something even bigger that can get attention. Okay? Think about that. That's an individual thing. For me, it was just doing 5 times more interviews. There's risk in that. Because there are risks that your employer may not like that. And then you may lose your job.
Your wife doesn't like it.
Maybe. No, for me it's okay. All right? But I'm lucky. But there's that risk. You must take some risk. Because one more thing I want to show you tonight is a short video clip of real risk. What risk is? The risk that we think is risk, that's this economic risk, is really overemphasised. It is overemphasised. We put too much emphasis on economic risk. You know, if everything failed in our life, we're still going to find a way to get some food, some clothing, some shelter. Like, it's not like we're going to die.
But you don't know until you have tried.
Huh?
When I quit my job to start my business,
Yeah.
I thought I was not going out anymore because I thought I would have ended up under a bridge.
Yes.
And after 3 months, I actually realized, I mean, one can hoover around with a bit of money in the bank and a project. This perspective really changes.
Yes.
But till you've tried, I mean, you will think you will die in the middle of the road because you don't have food.
Really appreciate that, Dave. I really appreciate that comment. And okay, so I didn't get tenure at Hong Kong U, so I'm happy with that. And part of the reason is because I decided not to do these little projects that go for these publications. Okay? So you're the ones to know tonight that I'm leaving Hong Kong U because I've taken this massive action, but I'm happy with that. Okay? So that's an institutional decision that's out of my control. But I've set my own destiny, and that's what I'm doing, and I'm happy with that. I want to be defined by my own actions and my own choices, like you, David. Okay? And then in 20 years' time, you look back and say, I'm glad I took that risk. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on. We've got identity, your perfect pitch, and your environment. So, number one, you know your identity. And part of that, sometimes some of you may have to take massive action to actually realise your identity. That is, realise it in the community of network that you're in. Okay? Because until then, you are just being used, or you're just another number to the people you associate with. Okay? And that takes some risk. Now, here's the thing about perfect pitch. How many of you have heard about the perfect pitch? Okay, so you know you've got a short time. What is it you have to say to sell to someone else? There's the elevator pitch. You can check it out on the internet, how to set it up. The point I want you to take home tonight is focus more on one thing. The more you focus on one thing, paradoxically, more opportunities will come to you. Because you are perceived not as the kid in the lolly shop that tends to want to do everything to other people. You're perceived as someone that's very specialised, and that's someone who can really help for someone that needs that specialist need. So the more you focus, the more opportunities you create. Think about that. Sometimes we think, oh, we must take a marketing approach to our value, a portfolio approach. So what do companies do when they're like Walmart or any company, your company? You always have products. Some of them are fast movers, some of them are slow movers. You don't know until you put it out into market, right? But it's the opposite when it comes to your perfect pitch. Okay? If you have a portfolio, oh, I'm a bit of this, I'm a bit of that, I'm a bit of this and a bit of that, well then no one wants just a bit of that. Okay? But the minute you say, I'm the specialist and I am this, then you start to focus, and then people take more attention to who you are because they know you're serious about who you are. Okay? So take that home tonight. Okay? Focus. Don't be like the kid in the lolly shop. Your big challenge, taking action. Here's the big thing I'll take away for tonight. Here's the big thing. And I printed it out because I really wanted to get it right. It's the environment you're in. So far tonight I talked about your identity. Okay? I talked briefly about your perfect pitch. You can find out more about that. You need to be able to identify, know who you are, what do you stand for, what is the strategy you're focusing on. you need to be able to communicate that to others very quickly. But finally, what matters is, who do you associate with? When was the last time you experienced rejection, for example? Put your hand up if you have experienced rejection, personal, commercial, whatever, in the last 5 years. Anyone? I have. Rejection. Okay? So what do you do when you experience rejection? There's two ways you react, either positively or negatively. There's many than that, okay? There's more ways than that. But my point is sometimes how you react is a function of who is in your network. You know, maybe, oh, you didn't get a job, so you go home, you have some drinks with your buddies. Oh, I didn't get a job, and the buddy says, oh, yeah, it's not a good company anyway, you shouldn't be going that way anyway. And so sometimes your social environment may give you the wrong cues for how you respond to that rejection. And your social environment may make you feel comfortable. Let me ask you a simple question. I want you to be honest with me tonight. Are you comfortable? Are you comfortable where you are? Economically? No, not in terms of how much money you got in your bank, but comfortable with the work you are doing, with the career you're in. Put your hand up if you're comfortable. Put your hand up if you're not comfortable. All right? Okay, if you're not comfortable, what are you doing about it? Are you changing your network? Because if you're not changing your network, then the network you're with, and you said you're uncomfortable, may actually work against you making change. All right? Because we develop social networks to just give us some reinforcement for what we believe, for what we're doing. They respect us. All right, go out, maybe have some beers or whatever and relax. And no one in the network ever says, oh, you're doing the wrong thing, Neil. You're doing the wrong thing, you should be doing this. And what do you do with those people in your network? Maybe you think, maybe I don't want to go out with that person. Next time. You know, sometimes happens.
I tend to be different actually. I tend to like more when somebody kick my butt rather than when they don't.
Okay.
Because in the tough times you learn more than when you're comfortable.
Okay. So you need people in your network that can be honest with you. That can be honest with you and tell you. How many of you have got people in your network? That's what we mean by psychology. Your psychology is in more ways than you think influenced by the people you associate with. All right, we always think psychology, oh, that's just me, my brain, and my own thoughts and feelings, all right? No. It's all of that plus how you interact with your network. So if you want to change your psychology, sometimes you have to force change in your network. That can become uncomfortable. All right? So when was the last time you experienced rejection? It's how you experience that matters. Are you in adjustment mode? Okay? If you think you need to have adjustment in your life, then are you adjusting who is in your network? Are you bringing new people into your network? Put your hand up if you have added a new professional person into your network in the last 2 months. Okay? Okay? All right? Put your hand up if you expect to do it again in the next 2 months. Or you're going to stay comfortable and just... Okay? All right. What is the source of your best thinking today? Because if you don't change your network, then your source of that thinking may not change.
Sorry, what do you mean by best thinking?
Your best...
Positive thinking?
No, your best... How you add value to your organisation and to others in economic interactions, your best thinking, your expertise. Because in 12 months' time, what you do the best today may not be enough. So how are you preparing to be better in 12 months' time. If your network's not going to change, then something else must happen for you to be better. There is a saying that if you write down 5 people you spend the most time with, take the average salary, and that is your salary. I'm not saying it applies to everyone, but and I'm surely not saying that salary is the only way to measure your significance or success. Okay, but that is a saying in some circles. Okay, so what's my point here? Be aware of who's in your network. Have you added new people in that you are learning from? Okay, is there anyone challenging you? So for example, I gave a talk at a sourcing conference at the start of May. Okay, and I was invited to that because I was doing this 1,000 interview study, and everyone kept on asking, wow, 1,000, 1,000. I kept on thinking, I haven't done 1,000 yet, I'm only up to 700, okay? But up to 800 now, and going to Guangzhou to do another 30 interviews this weekend. But my point was that after that talk I gave, then someone came up to me and said, oh, let's catch up and contact. And so we've started to exchange some ideas for how we can create some new consulting opportunities from that. Okay, so how did that come about? Did that come about because I was socialising more? No, it started with massive action to get attention, and then that brought new people into my network, and then opportunities come from that. Okay, so do whatever you have to do to get people into your network. For many of you, it's the MBA. You actually meet new people with the MBA. There's many other things you can do, not just MBA, to get new people into your network. Take a risk. Take a risk to introduce yourself to someone that will reject you anyway. Do it 10 times. At least one of those 10 is going to embrace what you have to say. Take a risk. Okay? So, here's how you do it. Okay, here's the time. I told you to throw something at me when I talk for too long. All right? It's been over 5 minutes, Candice. You must be going to sleep. Okay, okay, it's your turn now. What I want you to do now, here are the specific. Listen carefully. I want you to do exactly as I say. I want you to you've introduced yourself to someone now. You can talk to the same person again if you like. That's fine. Here, you need to go to a next level now. What I want you to do is, you've introduced each other's name, you know the names, you know what each other is doing, yes? Now I want you to ask the other person, okay, so tell us, what is your current challenge?